This live stream brought to you by the Excelsior Citizen and these generous sponsors. Our Excelsior Springs Hospital, where better care is right in your backyard. The Simmons Sales Team, your hometown realtors.
Whether we're talking about our dedication to preventing and restoring power outages, our pursuit of safety, or providing the best member experience possible, we are relentless in serving our communities.
Find out how you can advertise with Excelsior Springs' #1 community resource. Visit excelsiorcitizen.com today.
That is a good one.
We did it for nothing for years, didn't we?
Yeah, so did I.
That's what I said. We did.
Ready? Yeah, absolutely.
Recording in progress.
All right, it is 6 o'clock, and I will call our city council meeting for June 10th, 2024 to order. We'll begin with an opening prayer by Brother Gary Barkley from Pisgah Baptist Church, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. We thank you, Father, for your grace, your mercy. Well, Lord, you look over us. Your word is full of promises that are yes and amen for those who trust in you. And Lord, we come together tonight for this council meeting. And I pray that you'll bless these people who serve in so many ways, the council people, the councilmen and the staff that's here. Lord, bless them as they endeavor to run our city in an appropriate manner. Lord, be with them in their deliberations. God bless them. Bless our city. For it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Brother Gary. All right. We will begin by having our city clerk read the roll call of council members.
Councilman Rennie?
Yes.
Councilman St. John?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear? Mayor Spawn?
Yes. All right, at this time we'll entertain remarks from visitors. I want to remind our visitors that this time is reserved for public comment addressed to the City Council. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, and any agenda item which has a public hearing should be reserved until the public hearing is opened, and comments on such item will be taken at that time.
That's me. So today I've come here
Please
because...
state your name.
My name is Morgan Mahalko. I live not too far from here,
Okay.
Excelsior Springs, North Jesse James Road. I'm coming here tonight because I've had several incidents with the Excelsior Police Departments to where things have happened, and I'm very concerned that they do not have body cameras and they are being recording. For instance, on May 1st, I had an officer assault me in my home, and 3 other officers just stood and watched. And I've noticed also lately that they've been hiring brand new cops, training them, and also have gotten new cars, it seems like, and new paint jobs. So I'm concerned that, they, lack the fort with, attitude to stand there and reprimand. The person in question is actually a sergeant. I might get emotional because this is very, very important to me that it's been heard. But I've talked to the chief once before. The only other time I've come to the city council about an officer goading me into a fight while I was in handcuffs. Another officer was there, witnessed the whole thing. I asked her if she was going to do anything. These officers do not want to reprimand any other officer for doing wrongdoings, as far as I've learned. And I'm wondering what is able to be done to get these officers' body cams to be held accountable for the actions that they are doing in their own wrongdoing. So that's why I'm here tonight, to bring that up.
Thank you for your comments. We'll take that into consideration. Our chief of police is here, and I'm sure he's heard your comments as well.
I was planning to talk to him afterwards as well.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any other visitors? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting of May 20th, 2024.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the meeting minutes are approved from May 20th. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda and adopt the agenda as it is printed and presented to the council.
Move to approve the agenda as presented and printed and presented to the council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman St. John,
Yes.
Councilman Rennie,
Yes.
Councilman McGovern,
Yes.
Mayor Spawn.
Yes. All right. Our first item on the agenda is a proclamation acknowledging and encouraging everyone to participate in World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, building strong support for elders. And I'm going to present this to Councilman McGovern. Like I said, I'm thinking a little slow today. Councilman McGovern, who also serves as a board member for Clay County Senior Services. You'll join me here. Take this little blue arrow off of here. Whereas older adults deserve to be treated with respect and dignity to enable them to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and vital participating members of our communities. Whereas in 2006, the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse, in support of the United Nations International Plan of Action, proclaimed a day to recognize the significance of elder abuse as a public health and human rights issue. And whereas June 15, 2024 marks the 19th annual World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Its recognition will promote a better understanding of abuse and neglect of older adults. And whereas the National Center on Elder Abuse, NCEA, and the City of Excelsior Springs recognize the importance of taking action to raise awareness, prevent, and address elder abuse. And whereas our population lives longer, we are presented with an opportunity to think about our collective needs and future as a nation. And whereas ageism and social isolation are major causes of elder abuse in the United States. And whereas recognizing that it is up to all of us to ensure that proper social structures exist so people can retain community and societal connections, reducing the likelihood of abuse. And whereas preventing abuse of older adults through maintaining and improving social supports like senior sitters, human services, and transportation will allow everyone to continue to live as independently as possible and contribute to the life and vibrancy of our communities. And whereas where there is justice, there can be no abuse. Therefore, NCEA urges all people to restore justice by honoring older adults. Whereas join us in our engaging and empowering movement and putting an end to abuse. Therefore, I, Mark Spawn, Mayor of the City of Excelsior Springs, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2024 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Excelsior Springs. And I encourage all of our communities to recognize and celebrate older adults and their ongoing contributions to the success and vitality of our country. Dated on this 10th day of June, 2024.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman, for receiving that.
Thank you.
On behalf of us all. All right, the second item on our agenda is a presentation of our Excelsior Springs Hospital Annual Report for 2023, and our wonderful Chief Executive Officer of Excelsior Springs Hospital, Kristen D. Hart will make this presentation to the council.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Mayor, welcome back. We're glad that you're here.
Thank you.
And thank you for this time today. I think I've met everyone. I'm Kristen D. Hart. I'm honored to be our hospital's CEO. I've just celebrated my 7-year anniversary last week. And we just still have amazing things happening at our hospital. And I first of all want to say on behalf of our board president, Tim Pence, he is unable to be here tonight. He is lounging in Florida for a month of June, but sends his well-being and thanks. And I also have brought with me, some may or may not know, our new CFO is Matt Unch. He joins me today. And any of the tough questions are going to be pointed to Matt today. So yeah, we're baptizing by fire today. But wanted to say thank you. Do you want me to grab this, Susan? Thank you. Okay, which one? Let's just play to the right. Okay, yep, sure. All right. So a quick review of 2023, and just basically to say what a year it has been. And I know that we presented to the council back in, I want to say October. And since that time, we have continued to have some very steady progress and some updates to share, and I'm excited to share with you tonight. I have a quote. As many of you know, I like to use quotes, and our quote this year is, "Your role is not to make today tolerable, but tomorrow probable." And we have endured quite a few challenges this year that are definitely proving that to us. So I want to share, and is this kind of a weird format, Susan? It's kind of like getting half of my slides there. There, that might be a little bit better. The bottom should be meals served if we can get it to that. But I'll just highlight year over year continued growth. In our patient days, one area of focus as a critical access hospital is what's called our swing bed, and that is a opportunity for folks. It's not necessarily acute care, but it's also not nursing home facility care. It's active rehab, and we're so very, very proud to be able to utilize this swing bed program for our folks who maybe aren't ready to go back home again but need services. We had a 70% increase this year with our team that has really been focused on what that swing bed population looks like and what resources we have here available. Folks that are able to come back into their community and rehabilitate with their family and their friends that are here local makes a world of difference in being able to get folks back home again. Our emergency room visits are up 6% this year. I won't go through all of these, but some significant growth that we've seen. Outpatient clinics is our specialty clinics up 40%. Our pharmacy doses delivered with the community pharmacy continuing to grow is up 12% this year. Our physician clinic visits up 14%, surgery up 15%. Some of that is with the Kansas City Urology group joining our group, but also surgeons getting quite busy. Therapy up 17% year over year. And one thing I'm most proud about is our meals served. When we started back in 2021 looking at this data, there was probably about 20,000 meals that were served. And when we look at meals, we're talking about breakfast and lunch for our patients, for our employees, community members coming in, and dinner for our inpatients. So as you know, our inpatient census is typically somewhere around 4 or 5 patients, possibly upwards of 10. 2022, we had a little bit of a closure at times to our community for COVID and COVID restrictions there, but still served 56,000 meals. That totals up to 96,300 meals in 2023. A large percentage of that growth is our community, and I feel very strongly that we're helping our community in needs where seniors, folks with limited income are able to come in, grab something very easy, very delicious for lunch, and be able to take their leftovers home for dinner and have services available when many of our restaurants in the downtown area might not be open or might be able to serve those meals for those folks. So we really are very, very thrilled that not only is our cafeteria open for our community, I feel like that's a great community needs that's being met, and the food is absolutely delicious. So I think we're very fortunate to have that in our community. Our new specialist this year, Dr. Peter Goshi, is at the top. He is an ENT and specializes in all things ear, nose, and throat, but also pediatric surgeries, adenoidectomies, tonsillectomies, deviated septums, and he has become quite beloved in our community. Dr. Nicole Lee joined our team last summer as a PRN hospitalist, helping Dr. Slack on the inpatient side. Dr. Michael Siskos is our dermatologist. This picture is really cute because he's got a little bit of a suntan here. You'll never see that again as a dermatologist. He's, I always feel a little bad when I walk in to see Dr. Siskos, like, please don't look at me. But amazing in dermatology and here every Wednesday. Dr. Evan Slanska joined Dr. Hoffman's team in emergency medicine and provides 12 to 14 shifts a month as a full-time emergency medicine doctor. And then adding to our urology services, the Kansas City Urology Group has Dr. Kramer, Probst, and Dr. Zook that are up 4 times a month and providing clinic and surgeries. I always love this slide. It's one that I repeat, but it is worth noting that we are absolutely nothing without our community. And it is so very, very important. Every orientation that I provide to our staff, every couple of weeks when we have orientation, it is so very, very important that we have a commitment to serve our community and providing open access to Excelsior Springs for all of our community members. Involving our staff, it's not enough to just come to work every single day. You need to engage in our community. And once folks get engaged in our community, they want to be involved in our community. It is such a fun opportunity. There's so many good things happening here. But being able to be a partner is the most important thing that we can do, to be able to share our story and share our successes. So partnering with our school district, our government, other community organizations gives us back tenfold. And we really do appreciate and love taking good care of our community. And these are just some of our community members and partners that we're a part of right there. Instilling that confidence in our patients brings back, again, more and more volume here and contributing to the health and the welfare of our community members. This is a great slide. This is when my hair wasn't gray. It's gotten a little gray over the last 9 or 10 months here, but really expanding our role into our community through our partnerships, our community work, integrating, and our communications. And it is very, very important. And I've listed several of our different community connections that we have here, really expanding upon the public health service with our CHA and our CHIP over the year, working very closely with the police, fire departments, EMS services, and community education, taking a really large steep incline this year. Tina Cook started with us now about 18 months to 2 years ago. Now we're doing community education events at the community center almost weekly. And the volume of those folks coming in for not only lunches, but some of these educational sessions on some days have been anywhere from upwards of 60 up to, I think, 95 or 100. Our number one was a service and presentation on urology services, interestingly enough. Number 2 was legalizing marijuana. And then number 3, just this last week, was very high volume when Joy Killam talked about Medicare and Medicare resources for seniors. So Tina does a beautiful job of really reaching out and asking folks, what is it that we want to talk about? And not only bringing our hospital resources, but I know Greg Broadbent has been to talk about different wellness, health, or wealth initiatives and other services that are available to our seniors. So reaching out. This is something that I put your quote in, I believe, Mayor, at the bottom. One time you said, is this doing what you thought it would do? When we talked about our Cerner Oracle integration a little over 2 years ago, when we signed the contracts with Cerner, at the time it wasn't Oracle, Oracle came around. Pretty important comment 2 to 3 years ago now is that digital documentation is essential for a hospital's success, as it requires interoperability of all records. And challenges also have been, with that community record, have been affecting community hospitals for years. So we did take the leap, and we did move forward with our Cerner Oracle conversion, and that went live as of August 28th of 2023. What we have learned from that is we will not ever do an integration or in the middle of a year, 3 days of August and 1 month of September, and then having to convert our fiscal year that started October 1st. So really, and also at the same time doing our financial accounting system, we converted from our CPSI system to a system called Multiview. So basically having 4 major changes in 1 year has been really, really difficult, and very difficult on our financial teams and our accounting teams and the work that they're having to do. So a little bit more on that. But overall, from the go live of August 28th, I ask our teams, is it doing what we wanted it to do? And it has been doing yes and more of what we ask of our system. Most importantly, medication reconciliation at 82.8%. That goal is always to be 90% or better. But that is basically saying we are confirming medications that our patients, and those medications are accurate and they're being delivered accurately to the patient. Electronic prescription rates, 96.4%. For our physicians and our clinicians, not only is it giving them efficiencies, but accuracy and better recording and better data. So our time for our physician documentation right now, and this is very impressive, 98.3%. This is a group of physicians, if you know physicians, they do not like change. And they put their hands down and they put their feet down and they said, we're not going to do this. And they have completely adopted this system, and they're actually driving the charge and have been driving the charge for the year. making sure that we are engaging in what works for them, for their documentation, and most importantly is time is money to our physicians. They want to be in front of their patients, not in front of the medical record. They are down to 15 minutes is their average time per patient. This used to be in our system anywhere from 35 to 40 minutes per patient. So they're getting time back. They're excited. If you've all met Dr. Pickett is one who always says, I don't like change. And Dr. Pickett came to me about 3 months after our conversion and said, this is amazing. I'm going to be able to see so many more patients now. And you had to pick me up off the floor, but I put my smile on and said, thank you so much, Dr. Pickett, because he really has been a really great adopter in helping others come along. Nursing time in the EMR, even more importantly, at 6 minutes. That's incredibly efficient. They're so excited that they're able to capture their documentation and get back to patient care. Capturing reportable diseases. It's faster to diagnose and treat our patients with getting better lab results, quicker time frames. Automatic order sets already for isolation patients, which keeps our other patients and our staff safe by knowing what's going on with that patient in isolation. Physician satisfaction, staff satisfaction greatly improved. Overall, from a financial standpoint, our patient gross revenues are up 22.9%, and it's a difference of about $7 million. And an average daily revenue up 40%, up from $238,000 to $333,000 on a daily revenue charge. So that is exactly what we wanted to do, was to be able to accurately capture the diagnosis, capture the documentation that then converts to coding and billing. So yes, it is doing exactly what we wanted it to do. I enclosed a picture here of Dr. Denny Hamilton. I don't know if anyone knows Dr. Hamilton, but interventional pain. And our kickoff, we went with a Wizard of Oz theme, and here he is as our Tin Man, and we absolutely adore Dr. Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton started with us 1 day a month and now is seeing patients 11 days a month for interventional pain, and quite busy. Loves Excelsior Springs, by the way. You all have seen this slide. Back in October, we talked about this, and I won't spend a lot of time, but talking about how 2019 we were in a serious threat of closure, and in 2020 COVID hit, and COVID we thought would be kind of a bad thing for us, but actually it was really a positive for Excelsior Springs Hospital because it allowed us to have a runway of time to work on our primary care build-outs. We were able to improve with some CARES Act and COVID funding that was available to us. And in 2021, we reported joy and butterflies and rainbows that our hospital finances were moving into positive financial margins. We then got into 2022 and we started to expand our footprint, bringing on additional services, augmenting our primary care. We were able to add pediatrics, we looked into psychiatric services, and then the start of our Oracle Cerner transition. And 2023 came to a screeching halt as we came and talked to the council back in October of 23. With delays in provider licensures, insurance plans moving post-COVID very slowly, cost outlay that was even more detrimental than we expected it to be, delays in payment, our revenue cycle team being pulled in so many different directions, and really our improved reports started to show where some of our low performers were, leading to some service line closures that we brought to your attention in October. This slide should look familiar to you. It was presented by Cameron and myself back in October. This was previously presented, and we were looking at what the cash flow projection looked like. And back in the time, this is, is there a pointer here? Maybe? It's okay. Back in this, on the far left side, we were looking at back in October and into the December months. Our cash receipts were balancing around $500,000 to $520,000 per week. That was an all-time low for our organization. We knew that we needed to be somewhere closer to about double that, about $900,000 to $950,000 per week. And we brought this to your attention. And with the next slide, we were able to talk about our sustainability plan and our key focus for the year. And that was, for focus one, was that our payroll and our benefits for our staff and our contracted position, we made sure that those were funded, previously funded or prior funded, that every week ahead of schedule we would have that funding for our payroll to be in the bank. We looked at our benefit expenses and some changes, our contracted positions and our critical services, and making sure that those were paid for in advance. At that same time, we also did close our service line in the Liberty area, the Blue Skies Pediatric Group. It was a loss of over $1 million, and we made the decision to cut that service line very quickly in October. On Focus 2, we looked at vendor discussions and our workout plan. I'd like to give kudos to Forbes Law Group. Bethany Blau was actually assigned to us almost 100%. Reggie had an opportunity to meet Bethany at our meetings, and she was helping us with many of those vendor discussions and negotiations. We did engage with the Sater law firm to look at some workout details for some of those larger vendors that had larger balances outstanding, and then also looked at on Focus 3 some of our short-term financing options, which was looking at some bridges to get us through to what we looked at to be probably a time where we were in a better place starting in January of 2024. So looking at our credit card transactions, equipment leases, sale leasebacks, other third-party options. We had some funding from a group called Optum Financial that was a really great bridge and a lifesaver. And then again, my thanks to the council for your $500,000 bridge that when we look at $125,000 per week in the scheme of things, it doesn't sound like much, but it is a lifesaver to us, and that is why we're still open today. So I want to say thank you for that. Focus 4, I have an orange mark there because we're still looking at our long-term sustainability plan, and that is a continued focus towards expense controls, looking at service line accountability. Our Cerner Oracle programs now do show us by service line what are profitable, what we might need to do some tweaks on, and what we need to still continue to focus on. Our contract discussions, now we have a better understanding of what our contracts are, our contracted services, and what those terms look like. And now also coming back in and re-engaging with our creditors and working through those accounts payable balances that are still on the books. This is a very happy slide. This is updated for today through the month of, or into this month. And as you can see, our lowest point is the time that we talked about when we came to all of you from August to about February, where we started to see that really downward trend, and that was when our cash was running about, on average, of about $3 million per month. We are now back up into this top. It's kind of hard to see up there, but it is running at about a 4.6 million per month right now. That is significant change in March, April, and May, starting to see that turn around. And so cash collections by quarter, for example, in September to August was running about 11.5 million in cash collections by quarter. September to March, when we were at our lowest peak, was at about 10.2 million. And now looking at April, May, June, projecting that to be closer to the $14.4 million mark and only going upwards. This is kind of hard for you to see, but I wanted to just kind of give a little, Matt was like, really, you're going to put this in a slide to the council? And I said, you know, our council appreciates that sometimes levity is hard. A week before May 24th, so that would be May 17th-ish, was probably one of our hardest days ever. Amanda Ramazan is our Director of Finance. Matt, Sarah Gonzalez, our Chief Nursing Officer and Operating Officer, and myself sat down, and it was just a really rough week. And I remember saying to them, are we going to make it? Are we really going to make it? Are we going to pull this off? And Matt is the eternal optimist, and he's like, heck yes, we're going to make this, heck yes. And Sarah says, yes, we are. So we get a Teams message from Amanda Ramazan every morning. And it gets a little nervous when the Teams message doesn't come through at the right time. You know how that is. It's like, what's the news? How come she's withholding? You kind of get a little paranoid. But on May 24th, we get the little elf there all excited. And I'm like, this is going to be good. And our record that day for the weekly cash input was $1.696 million. And that was Thursday. And so it says, plus whatever comes through the mail. So you see my comment was, holy moly. And then Matt says, how beautiful, and Sarah says, holy bananas. So we had a very ecstatic state that sometimes you just need that one day. And I thought it was kind of telling, this is about swimmers, but if you think your sport's hard, try doing it while holding your breath. And we have been holding our breath quite a bit this year. Matt continues to tell me to breathe, and we are. We're in a recent exchange. We're doing really, really great things and seeing great results now. Our priority focus, when I'm usually here in front of you, we are talking about our audit, and unfortunately our audit for fiscal year 2023 is still not completed. It was delayed due to the Cerner and the multi-view conversion, so you can only imagine having to look at one system. Now we're adding two systems and a conversion mid-year, and our financial accounting system conversion as well. So the audit actually was started in the middle of March, and our audit firm is now wrapping up with some of those final statements. We're kind of holding our breath because they haven't asked for anything for the last 4 days, I think, 5 days maybe. So we're hoping that they're getting ready to wrap up and have that report to us soon. Once we have that report, we will submit that back to the council, and we will also be submitting that to USDA at their request. So right now, we have submitted all requests and responded to everything, and hoping that gets wrapped up very soon. This is Matt Unch, and he has done wonders with pulling together all the new accounting systems and new accounting reports and figuring out Cameron's brain and where Cameron would put things into our financials and how this all works. And Matt joined us, I believe, back in November as a consultant, and within just a matter of a few weeks, I had a message from him saying, I really enjoy this and I would really love this job. So we really enjoy Matt as well, and we're super excited about his expertise and his background. He came to us from an HCA background, which Sarah and I both have also worked for HCA, so we kind of understand the nuances of a bit of how important it is that we are still a critical access hospital and a small governmental hospital and a not-for-profit hospital, but sometimes that for-profit background really helps when you need to get cash in the door. And so we all know how very, very important that is. I don't know if we can blow this up, but I want to keep this slide. Yeah, that might help. Is it going? Yeah. Can you all, I know the council has. There are, when we're looking over here at this FY 2023, there's probably some things on that I want to make some comments to that might look a little bit alarming. Our volumes are showing increase in 2023, as I mentioned earlier, across all boards. The clinic visits are up 40%, inpatient admissions up, surgeries up. Outpatient gross revenue is up 6.2 million. Inpatient gross revenue is up by 1 million, and year-to-date 2024 is continuing to show significant improvements. Patient gross revenues are up 22%, average daily revenue up 40%. When you look at this, the total operating revenue and the cash revenue, there is some red there, and that is that it's showing for fiscal year 2023 a reported net operating revenue decline of 4.4 million from the previous year. So while our gross revenues were up 4.3 million, the decline is as we went back and we're looking specifically at our home health and hospice service lines, we saw that there was overstatement of revenues by about $3.7 million. If you'll recall, 2 years ago, our home health and hospice service line also went through an electronic medical record conversion. And so those revenues were seemingly overstated as we were going back in and digging through and working through what that transition looked like. We also identified and talked with our audit teams about looking at some reserves and booking some reserves for our legacy AR accounts. This had not been done in the past, and we were looking at, or have looked at, booking about a $7.5 million reserve for the legacy accounts that we're not expecting to collect in 2024. This goes back many, many years. We talked with our audit team, and they said probably this was probably one of Matt's many headaches to say, do I need to go back and look at every single one of the months of financials to go back and restate that? I said, let's talk with Lippley, who's our audit firm, and see how they want that to be done. And they made the suggestion that we could do a one-time adjustment back into the 2023 numbers to get that all clear and clean as we move forward. So fiscal year 22 or 2024, our operating revenues are up, and while that's encouraging, our cash revenue is still pretty volatile. Matt uses a term, things are kind of sticky, and we realize that our financials are going to be a little bit volatile probably for this year as we continue to work through and get some of these balances cleaned up and accounted for, and in the new financial systems. So cash collections, again, as we've already kind of talked about, a little bit volatile there, but since March of 24, cash has significantly improved to 4.6 million per month, including 5.4 million in the patient cash collections in the month of May. So our team is making significant strides to continue to improve pulling that cash in. We are working with a third-party vendor that does a lot of our billing and collections called TrueBridge. And we have had some challenges with TrueBridge. We have a contract that will expire in April of 2025, and we are working with them closely as we work to transition through the end of that contract, and then we'll be looking to turn billing and collections in-house to be able to manage that ourselves. Operating expenses for 2023 were increased by 19.8% compared to prior year, and as with most businesses, costs have significantly increased in salaries and wages and benefits and supply cost. We did identify some of those, and we have made some of those cuts, as I mentioned earlier. We looked at For 2023, we saw significant increases with our service lines in psychiatric services by bringing on a new service line there. Increases in our physicians and physician salaries. The Blue Skies pediatric line, as I mentioned again, bringing that on and then closing that within about 10 months. And then looking at some of our contracts that just weren't making fiscal sense to continue to do business. So for example, Titan Security, very, very important, had several operational challenges, and we severed our relationships there. So over the course of a year, that was about a $500,000 contract. So we are looking at what makes sense for our operation, what makes sense for safety, and what makes sense moving forward, and what can be afforded by the hospital. So overall, we are moving forward. This is that same page that I just read off of that is color-coded in your packets. If you have any questions, I would be happy to turn that over to Matt. Turn that one over to Matt. I'm going to go move forward, and then we can, unless you have questions, we can move forward and then ask at the end.
Just one.
Certainly.
Okay. The term that the company I worked for, whenever we had something, it was always we have a one-time charge. So I think that's what we're looking at here for 2023. It's a one-time charge to write down.
Yeah, I've been through other conversions. This is not abnormal. It's rather with generally accepted accounting principles. When I went back to look at AR, a lot of this AR was old and just needed to be reserved. Now, it doesn't mean that we won't collect all of it. Some of it we may collect coming into this year, but it'll be a pickup, called a pickup. So yeah, so it's a one-time, what we call it, hit or charge, you know.
Okay.
So going forward, it's going to be a little bumpy because some of the Cerner accounts are still baking in, like you said, like Kristen showed. We have increased revenue, so we're capturing that, and so it's the data from last year is not as good as it is now, and so it's a little, it's kind of going to be a little bumpy, but by the end of the year, things will be much smoother. But the nice thing is that the revenue per charge is actually for us because we're capturing, especially the ED side of things. We were leaving a lot of money on the table. So.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Certainly. We have a program at Excelsior Springs Hospital where we recognize good deeds and good work, and that is called our Everyone Shines Here program. And there's just, after the volatility of the year that we have had, I want to recognize we have some very, very good people to recognize and to say thank you to. And that, number one, is our Excelsior Springs Hospital Board of Trustees, who I want to say thank you to all of you for entrusting them to us. Reggie, I really appreciate you being at our meetings and getting to ask those questions and be engaged. And I think you see that their commitment is, we're not operations, but we are here to support, and we are here to make sure this hospital is here for a very long time. And we feel very, very lucky. I know there are others that have hospital boards that are not necessarily as supportive as those that we get to work with every day. And they truly do have the best interest at heart of what this hospital, what our operational needs are, and what our community needs are. So thank you for that. Forbes Law Group, again, is Frankie Forbes has given quite a bit of time pro gratis and his support staff to help us get through some of this turmoil. Whitley, again, our audit team, to date has not expected any payment, and that is really, really nice to be able to have that as they're doing and continuing to do their work, giving us a little bit of break there. The Children's Services Fund of Clay County, what a wonderful gift to us. 3 years ago, we did not even know that this existed, and now our first year we received $441,000 of grant funding to get our psychiatric services program started. Last year, $1,443,444. I just love saying that. What a generous gift from that group to be able to start our psychiatric services line and to continue where we started just 2 years ago with a hope and a prayer that Dr. Dassery would join our organization. We now have 22 staff members, clinicians and staff members working, seeing and focusing their attention. At least 55% of our patients are Clay County children, so under the age of 19. And that we couldn't do this without the grant funding from Clay County Children's Services Fund. And I do want to give kudos to Mr. John McGovern, Councilman John McGovern, for his help and support, getting us tied into the Clay County Children's Services Fund, and what a great gift they are to us.
Christian, I think it's probably important that you stress that it's Clay County.
It is
It's
the
just
Clay
not
County.
Excelsior Springs, it's the county that's coming
is.
here now.
It is, yes, thank you. Clay County Children's Services Fund. And we partner with them, and we are also, they do have funding that's available to the school districts, and I know Excelsior Springs School District is a part of that program as well. The USDA, we did have to go back about a year ago when we re-amortized our loans back in 12 of 2022. And many of you know Clark Thomas. Clark Thomas actually, I have pictures of Clark Thomas when our hospital opened in 1976, and he looks exactly the same. We unfortunately had to stop our payments to the USDA, and those are for 451 documents. And we stopped that in September of 2023, and we have now worked with Clark Thomas and team to redevelop a workout agreement that is paying interest per month for the next 6 months. So it's about half of our monthly payment is in interest, and we restarted that as of May of 2024. And as much as Mr. Thomas likes to remind me that the USDA does not want to own hospitals, he really has been an amazing friend to our organization over the years. So I always give kudos and thanks to our USDA relationship. And then just countless vendors, partners, all of you, community members, you know, at your lowest low, Pastor Mike Boudreau will call and say, I just feel the need to say a prayer for you today. And I share that openly with our team because I think that is what gets us through some of our darkest hours. And we certainly do appreciate that. I don't want to, it's not all gloom and doom. We've had some incredible good performance this year. We had our CMS survey, which happens it's supposed to happen every 3 years. It's now every 5 years. And even though times were tight and we're being very, very fiduciarily responsible, we actually got through our survey in 3.5 days with absolutely no clinical care tags and no environment of care tags. This is huge because 5 years ago when we did our survey, we had about 14 pages of environment of care tags, which when we were told we needed to fix what was on that page, it added up to well over $3.5 million that we couldn't afford at the time. At that time, the CMS surveyors could have put us in immediate jeopardy, which then potentially would have shut our hospital down until we could do that. They gave us time to work through that. And what an amazing turnaround that we have been able to, even in cash crunch times, we have been able to pull the hospital to the point where there are no EOC tags on a survey. That is just unheard of in this day and age. So I give all kinds of kudos to my team for the work that they've been able to do, managing it fiscally, financially, and trying to do as many projects as we can in-house, but also staying compliant with our regulatory requirements, which are changing by the day. We received also an American Hospital Association Health Research Education Trust Grant, Project First Line Award and subsequent awards, $75,000 this year, and that is for infection prevention. How very, very important that is that we continue to provide good services, but also keep very clean, infection control. Angela Ochoa is our infection prevention specialist, and she said, I have 2 days to submit this. Will you help? I said, absolutely. We put this together. We were awarded $75,000. We are one of 5 hospitals in the United States to receive this award, the only critical access hospital to receive the award. And when the surveyors came to meet with us back in December, they fell in love with our team so much that they awarded another $25,000 to John Freeman and his environmental services team for the way that the hospital appears and how clean we are. And now they've kind of recruited Angela Ochoa to be on their national circuit. So she has been to San Diego and to Las Vegas, and I believe another one is coming up in Florida in the next few weeks to be on their panel for infection prevention with the American Hospital Association. So we're very, very proud of her efforts and the work being done there. Good progress continues with ongoing maintenance, as I mentioned. Jared Blocker, if you haven't met him, he's a little rough around the edges, but he and his team are taking this aging plant. Remember, our hospital's been around since 1976, and things are starting to age, but doing a lot of work internally, doing the work and doing it on a very, very tight budget, and working with us with our vendors, and I think our building looks more beautiful than it has, and it is the cleanest building and oldest hospital I've been in a very, very long time. Folks that come in are surprised at the age of our hospital, and we just continue to do more and more projects to continue to keep us in compliance and to be here for our community. And then, just lastly, the improvement with our community or committee works is between corporate compliance, emergency prep, safety, environment of care, all of these regulatory compliance things, every meeting that I sit at, I continue to learn more and more and more about our operation. And we are so quick to respond. We are very, very agile when something happens in the situation, the regulatory compliance, to be able to convert on a dime. I wanted to highlight, many of you know Mindy Wibbenmeyer. Mindy Wibbenmeyer was actually chosen as the healthcare champion for Missouri Hospital Association for 2023. There were over 100 nominees, and Mindy's story was chosen, and we are so very, very lucky. If you know Mindy, she is a wonderful asset to our organization, and what a wonderful honor to be able to be awarded the healthcare champion for the Missouri Hospital Association. Top of mind why we're here continues to be our community needs assessment, and partnering with our Northland Health Alliance, we do a community needs assessment every 3 years. 2024 is the year that we're up for our next community needs assessment, and since 2011, the top 3 concerns have remained access to care, behavioral health, and chronic disease. So if you've had the opportunity to sit through my orientation, I won't bore you with this 30-minute synopsis of what happens with access to care, behavioral health, and chronic disease, but it does guide everything that we do in our hospital, is how to improve our community needs, and that is looking at our access to care. These are a list of services that are provided at Excelsior Springs Hospital. When I started 7 years ago, that list was about half, and the list of providers was pretty non-existent. I think we had 2, maybe 3 employed physicians at the time. We have now bumped that physician list up to 15 employed physicians, 4 primary care, a psychiatrist, 3 board-certified ER physicians, a general surgeon, 3 hospitalists, pediatricians, and nurse practitioners. We now have 315 employees of Excelsior Springs Hospital and specialty services available 24/7. The one on this list that is still a need in our community is gynecology. We do have gynecology services. They come to do surgeries, but they don't do clinic. And so I certainly want to take care of our patients. Also, we will not be delivering babies, but we can do pre-care as far as making sure that pregnancies are well taken care of. Mom delivers, baby and mom can come back and have their health and wellness here in Excelsior Springs with Dr. Umscheid and team. So very, very proud of that list. As I mentioned, well, it's been a lot of time, but our introduction to the Children's Services Fund, when we heard that there was a significant need, working with the school district here in Excelsior Springs and hearing that a large percentage, a high percentage of our 4th and 5th graders talking about knowing about suicide, having a plan, knowing someone who has attempted suicide, knowing somebody that's committed suicide at 4th grade. That's a 9-year-old. That's just so sad. So we put our heads together, and in a very short timeline between May 4th to about June 15th, we worked with our SAFE team. We worked with Kathy Mackin with the Clay County Children's Services Fund, hired Dr. Dossery. Our first patient was seen by the November 28th, and now I believe our number is over 450 students have been served to date. We have a significant wait list, which is a good thing, but not a good thing. When you're a clinician, you don't want to have a wait list, but it does say that our services are very necessary and very important. Also, our psychiatric services team is now taking on the emergency room. Those patients that are coming into our emergency room and are in distress, our psychiatric services team is doing those assessments as well. This is an impact statement by one of our Excelsior Springs School District partners. As a social worker with the Excelsior Springs School District, I could not be more excited to have a psychiatric clinic opened within our community. There has not been a resource like what the psychiatric clinic offers close to home. Some families lack the time and the transportation to get mental health needs met in the city. I'm sorry, my eyes are really blurry tonight. Having the resources for mental health services not only in the Excelsior community, but also in our surrounding towns is so very, very needed. And that's from Kim Curtis, and we adore working with Kim on a part-time basis and continuing that service. Little difficult to see, but looking to our future again, coming back to your role is not to make today tolerable, tomorrow probable. These are things that are happening across not only the Kansas City Metro, but across our nation right now. At the top is significant healthcare turnover, an aging population of nurses, speech language pathology right now getting offers of part-time work at $80 to $100 per hour, and people are just pulling different sources off left and right. In the middle here, significant mergers, larger healthcare acquisitions, as we know, down the street from us, Liberty Hospital merging with KU, St. Luke's merging with Barnes Jewish. Looking at medication expenses right now, this slide doesn't show, but all of a sudden this new weight loss that a lot of folks are on, those compounds, that Wegovy and Ozempic, is anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800 per dose. And that is costing our healthcare systems a tremendous amount of money. So just overall, extreme expenses in healthcare. Most recently too, just last week, Blue Cross of Kansas City is exiting their Medicare Advantage plan, leaving lots of folks stranded with what are they going to do about their health care and about their insurance. And then of course there is this huge big thing coming up here called the 2024 election that is going to probably wreak a lot of havoc. So we are in the throes of a very volatile healthcare world right now across the United States. Some of our challenges, as I've mentioned before, this map is a little difficult to see, but community hospitals' strengths are very numerous in their communities. However, they're also facing a range of challenges. This map shows hospital closures since 2020, or since 2005. 74 of those are PPS, larger hospitals. 70 is next, are critical access hospitals. And many of the challenges here, I won't read to you, but Medicare reimbursements, commercial insurance plans, just some of the game playing that's happening. Delays in payments, denied claims and services. I call it the spin the wheel when we're calling and saying, where's that $11,000 claim? And they spin the wheel and say, not today, and then maybe next Tuesday, and maybe this. And we'll get a denial and we'll submit the same claim 3 times, and finally after the 3rd time they'll pay the denied claim. So it's just exhausting, and it's exhausting resources, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy to be able to do that. Additionally, while we were also coming out of our, we felt like February was going to be a really, really great month for us, we had this thing called Change Healthcare, and many of you probably read about that, the cyber attack on the server where all of the claims were going through, and it affected the nation, and that also affected us. It slowed our payments anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks, and some of these larger organizations and physician clinics that were physician-owned actually were taking money out of their own pockets to continue to stay open. So we have, and I think we know that cyber attacks are on and will continue to be on and on and on in our future. So ensuring for our future, a couple of things for 2024. We are looking now at Project 1 is our people and our relationships, and it is going to be very important. We did not do a salary increase or wage increase for our employees in the last year, and we know that that's going to be very, very important this year to look at competitive salaries. Our folks love our culture, but they also need to have adequate reimbursement for their services. So looking at that merit and market adjustment is a really strong retention strategy for us. We are also on Project 2 looking at the revenue protection. Every dollar is so very, very important. Every claim is so very, very important. So labor, expense control, service line optimization, all those things, documentation, coding, billing, charge capture, it all goes hand in hand. Project 3 is our infrastructure and equipment. We know that we have an aging infrastructure and equipment, and so we're having to look at what it is that we can realistically afford, what can we purchase, what can we look at, lease agreements, lease to purchase agreements, looking at alternatives. We are, of 141,000 square feet in that building over there, we are running out of space. So we're looking at alternatives to be able to look at remote workspaces and what does that look like for shared offices, and looking at making those plans for the next 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year. And then probably on a larger scale is looking at that national and local landscape. And that looks at the awareness of changing healthcare landscapes. Right now, we are looking at all of our allies, and we're looking at partners, and we're viewing competitors. We're looking at different organizations that are wanting to move into the Northland, that want to merge and partner together, and how difficult it is to stay independent when these larger organizations are coming to the table. So our ultimate focus is to make sure that we're protecting our hospital over the long term, making sure that it's here for another 120 years. So investing in our future, I promised last slide, we are, as a team, very confident about our future. We have strong work and attention being placed on moving forward and transitioning, continuing from our CPSI system to Cerner. We are acutely aware of our challenges, our hurdles, and our obstacles, and our team is the face of hope and healing in our community every single day. We know it's been a hard year, and it was a lot harder than we probably expected, but we are wildly confident that we have the right people at the table, the right focus, and the right attitude to continue to blaze this trail forward. We do amazing things every day. We remind our staff, more times than not, our staff reminds us of the amazing things they're doing. And we're going to plan to be here for a very, very long time in our future. So with that, I am happy to address any questions that you might have. That was a long one, wasn't it? I went longer than Nate usually goes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
One question, Kristen.
Yes, sir.
Have we been able to get the ovens fixed? You were talking about the wonderful meals, and I know that
Yes.
we're somewhat limited right now, or we were before I left.
Yes,
for
our
vacation.
2 combi ovens went down at the same time, and the materials to replace in the 2 ovens were, of course, right off of their warranty. And it was about an $18,000 fix, and now we have excellent, we've got the tools in place, we've got the equipment in place, and a great preventative maintenance schedule in place so that doesn't happen again, hopefully.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Matt, for what you've been able to accomplish there. Of course. Appreciate you. All right. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 1514, consideration of Parks and Rec Board reappointments. Molly McGovern, our city manager, will give the details of this resolution.
Okay, thank you. While most of our boards and commissions have an expiration in board terms at the end of September, our Park and Rec Board is the exception. And their board terms are set by state statute, and those terms expire the end of May. So we have 3 board members that need to be considered for appointment, and the 2 returning board members that are being suggested are Mr. Jacob Simmons and Mr. Zachary Wilkins. And then there'll be 1 more board appointment at our next meeting, we hope. So please consider these 2 board members.
Hopefully this week, so Nate can get his t-shirts ordered. All right. I will entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1514, the reappointment of Mr. Jacob Simmons and Mr. Zachary Wilkins to the Parks and Recreation Board.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve resolution number 1514, consideration of Park and Rec Board reappointments.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, Shannon.
Councilman Rennie,
Yes.
Councilman St. John,
Yes.
Councilman McGovern,
Yes.
Mayor Spawn.
Yes. Resolution approved. Next item on the agenda is consideration of memorandum of understanding with Clay County Parks, ordinance number 24-06-01, and our Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Center, Nate Williams, will present the details of this ordinance to the council.
All right, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Pretty straightforward here. This is for Rocky Hollow Ball Fields. Parks and Rec Department has scheduled those fields for years, and there was a wasp just flew by, squirrel. But so we have done the scheduling and then some of the infield maintenance of the fields, while Clay County Parks has done has done the outfields and around the fields and parking lot maintenance, things of that sort. So with that, last year we had over 200 reservations made at Rocky Hollow Ball Fields, and some of them get, we don't want to say forgotten about, but it's when you're not paying anything, it's really easy to not attend. So with this agreement, or the MOU that we have here, it does give us the ability to even put a small charge on there, which helps with, so over 200 reservations that we had that we're spending money on chalk, on a staff member to go out and drag the fields, on bases that keep getting stolen and things of that sort. So we don't anticipate this being a high charge at all, but it would be then something that we would split half and half with Clay County Parks at the end of the year, so they can recoup maybe a little bit of cost for their mowing and sending people out to the ball fields, taking care of those new beautiful new restrooms that they put out there at each field this year. So that is really the only adjustment within this MOU compared to years past. But there has been some leeway. So we just reached out to Clay County Parks, and we've asked that we have the ability to mow the outfields on Fridays, because T-ball on Saturdays, if there's any small flower, that is a distraction. So we want to ensure that
it doesn't take much T-ballers.
It does not take much at all. So when all of the kids out there on Saturdays are between 2.5 years old and about 6 years old, we want to make sure that there's no dandelions present, and that the ball actually rolls. For the Tigers in Training program, we use like wiffle balls, and in taller grass, they're not going to roll at all. So, so there is some leeway still where they will allow us to go out there and get some stuff done too. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to take ordinance number 24-06-01, an ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding with Clay County, Missouri to second reading.
Move to take ordinance 24-06-01, consideration of a memorandum of understanding with Clay County Parks and Rec to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Rennie?
Yes.
Councilman St. John?
Yes.
Mayor Spawn?
Yes. And for the second reading, an ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding with Clay County, Missouri, ordinance number 24-06-01. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve ordinance number 24-06-01, consideration of MOU with Clay County Parks.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman St. John?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Rennie?
Yes.
Mayor Spawn?
Yes. Ordinance is approved. Thank you, Nate. Last item on the agenda is consideration of contract with Eastern Clay County Ambulance District, ordinance number 24-06-02. Our Fire Chief Joe Maddock will present the details of this ordinance to the council.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Before you is the annual Eastern Clay County Ambulance District contract renewal. The contract runs from July the 1st to June the 30th of every year. This year's compensation amounted to $164,205.90, which is a 9.3% increase over last year's compensation. Once again, the same Eastern Clay County Ambulance District is in the same financial situation they were last year. This exceeds the revenue that they bring in. They're able to compensate us $115,000 for the contract year. Inside your packets, the contract, the financial statement, and also a report, the yearly report on Eastern Clay County Ambulance District. Be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to take ordinance number 24-06-02 to second reading. Let me read the verbiage on that. An ordinance approving a contract to provide ambulance service to an ambulance district between the city of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, and the Eastern Clay County Ambulance District.
I make a motion to take ordinance 24-06-02, consideration of contract with Eastern Clay County Ambulance District to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Rennie?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman St. John?
Yes.
Mayor Spawn?
Yes. Whoops. Went a little too far there. An ordinance approving a contract to provide ambulance service to an ambulance district between the city of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, and the Eastern Clay County Ambulance District. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 24-06-02.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 24-06-02, consideration of contract with Eastern Clay County Ambulance District.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman St. John,
Yes.
Councilman Rennie,
Yes.
Councilman McGovern,
Yes.
Mayor Spawn,
Yes. Ordinance is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Maddox. And that concludes our agenda items. We'll enter into a time of remarks. We'll start with our city manager, Molly McGovern.
In your transmittals today is the court report for the month of May. And hopefully you all received your MML magazine that has lots of good articles for council members. Also, I received an email today from Mark, who's offering an elected officials training August 8th. If that's of any interest to you all, I'm going to send it to you, but there's a deadline for price increase next Monday. So let us know if that's something of interest. So I'll forward that email on.
Is that for a day?
It's for an evening with dinner served.
Okay.
An opportunity for peer interaction with other elected officials. So
A meal ought to generate some
I know.
response.
August 8th.
You
All
work
right.
for food, is that what you're saying?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. All right, we'll enter into a time of remarks from City Council. Begin with Councilman Rennie.
It was a wonderful week this past week in Excelsior Springs. Lots of activities, farmers market, Missouri Wine Fest, the art. I failed to remember what it was called, but the
Plein
art
air.
event. Pardon?
Plein air.
Plein
I
air.
may not have said that correctly, but
Yes, just a lot of wonderful things. A lot of people in town. Good events.
And let's go to Councilman St. John.
And I'm kind of thinking about all the things that happened this week, but kind of focus on what we talked about tonight, the hospital, how that is an important asset to the community. Because I think and we're seeing people move here from outside of the area, and I have to feel that one of the things that they're looking at is what is our healthcare situation, as well as our education and activities, and you know, we're kind of getting that we are that whole package now, and we just need to develop it a little bit more, and the hospital is definitely involved in that process, and I'm glad that we have as good a system as we do in this town.
To quote Melinda Mahaffey, we are not just someplace or any place, we are someplace.
Yes.
All right, and Councilman McGovern.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge the loss Excelsior Springs experienced this week in Carolyn Schutte.
Yeah.
She, I had the privilege of working with her both when she was a finance director and on the city council. She was a dynamic woman, great vision, great leadership, very charismatic, and she was cut short in 2011, or there's no telling what she could have accomplished. She's fantastic, and there aren't many like her. However, we do have one similar to her in our audience tonight. That's our hospital CEO, or whatever she calls herself. And I mean, our hospital probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her, and I appreciate all she has done and all she will continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you, it's my honor.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. I absolutely agree with his statement regarding Kristen and her value to not only our hospital but our city, and appreciate everyone. And when you travel abroad, sometimes it's refreshing. You get some ideas. Every time I go on vacation, I bring back ideas, and I learned a long time ago from the Missouri Main Street program the R&D does not stand for research and development, it stands for rip off and duplicate. And so I see all these ideas in Italy. I'm looking at things like, oh, we can do that. Excelsior Springs. And so we may be talking about some of those things in the future. Yeah. And anyway, and then the loss, I don't remember what day it was. I saw the email and my heart sank. And hats off to Jim and the care that he's given for his wife all these years. So just pray for the Schutte family in the coming days. I understand that the funeral will be at Crescent Lake Christian Center. Do we have a date on that yet? Okay. I'm sure Brother Mike will let us know. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.